give me your formula and give me your script and give me your PDF and give me your everything. And then they go after all of that because it was happy inducing for the person they got it from. But I don't know that they slow down enough to during and especially after and go, was this my happy? Was this my thing truly authentically? Because there is so much exposure to everybody else's stuff.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where we guide natural health and wellness experts through the pitfalls of marketing. Each episode, you'll learn simple, effective, easily actionable, and heart-centered marketing strategies. And here's your host, Angus Pyke.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. Welcome to the 100th episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast. And who better for me to be sitting here with than our number one downloaded gang that we've got Dr. Tony Ebel. Tone, welcome to the show. How are you, mate?
Dude, I'm really good, man. And I was good before I found out we were the 100th episode here. And now that's fun, man. This is awesome. I can't wait to dig in again.
It's very fortuitous because we've had to kind of shift back and forwards with this episode. And I was lying in bed last night thinking of you, and I realised, how's that, hey? So
that's wonderful.
Just take it from wherever you can get it, I think. And I went, you know what? I can make this be our 100th episode. So, and I've been thinking about, because I've known it's coming, and I wanted to do something special, and I wasn't quite sure how to go about it. But you were also the only person. This is our third interview. So we've had a couple of people that have had two, but the only person to have had three. Our most downloaded episode, the 100th episode. So thanks, buddy. How have you been?
Oh, so very good. You know, we're putting an end to what has really been an incredible year, both for the practice, just lots of records fallen, lots of kids and families served as a result, and then Epic too. You know, all of our pediatric chiropractic action. We finished the year strong. We had our biggest ever event in October in San Diego. We have a huge class of what we call our Ignite program training with us right now. So great year, but even better, like momentum getting us ready for the new decade, right? Which is pretty crazy.
I hadn't actually stopped to think about until I was reading someone's Instagram post yesterday that not only are we about to come to the end of the year, but it's the end of a decade as well. And
Truth.
you know, it wasn't that long ago that we were all scared about Y2K and everything was going to be crashing. Hey, nothing happened. It's there are a few things I want to have a chat with you about today.
Yeah.
I thought I might just start with this one first too, because in terms of production, you are epic. Like in terms of what you do, I sit back and I really admire, because there are lots of people who I see have epic production, but you know, it seems that there's a really authentic relationship. I see lots of stuff going with you and kids and holidays. Yeah. I confused recently that you're in the airport on the way to Fiji, but I mucked that up completely. That was an awkward, weird conversation, wasn't it, back and forward? So, and then, you know, I see new products coming out. You've just built a new practice as well.
Yep.
Buddy, how do you manage that?
Yeah. Oh man, you know, probably a multi-element answer, all woven together. But you know, actually, just listening today to one of your latest episodes, because again, as I told you before we got after this here, it's in the top two. I consume every new episode you put out instantly. I live out in the middle of nowhere on a farm as I drive to all my various activities, so it's perfect actually for podcast life. But it's really through generosity and an unrelenting, and I say that lovingly, desire to help people and have fun, you know, and simultaneously, by the way, right? And now there's just multiple forms in my life by which I get to help people. I guess I should define that a little more clearly for me, little people and their parents, right? You know, so kids. And so, yeah, with the practice, you know, we've really figured it a lot out over the years where we can get a lot done efficiently. We really leverage technology. I really leverage my team. My wife, especially Christina, is really will probably never, ever be on a Facebook Live. She does not want to do that, but she will certainly make damn sure I get mine done. You know, and so the team there. And then also, you know, on the Epic side, it's really, truly just about the community we've built. And I see what these docs are doing. I see them share kid testimonials on their social media feeds. And, you know, that just continues to feed and refuel me. And then to the family stuff, I think that's the joy of really being able to have stepped into what you love, regardless of the level of success, the numbers or whatever else to it. When it really, truly is a passion play, I don't run out of gas. I don't come home tired. I come home energized. You know, I don't go into holiday needing to, you know, lay on the beach and, you know, do nothing for a week. I go on a holiday and a vacation ready to get after it with the kids and the family and do all that. So, and then if there ever is a time, my man, where I'm just fading a little bit, coffee, straight up, you know, there it is, right? It comes back around. Just a high dose of high quality coffee. And maybe a little CrossFit, and away we go. You know?
Yeah. So, buddy, does it ever get out of balance for you, or has it in the past?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely has in the past. You know, but it's a quick, not near as much. My valleys are not near what they used to be. You know, because you've been through them before. So I think you start to know when you start to go down that hill that you don't want to be going down, that inertia of it, you know, your nervous system is tuned to it a little bit quicker, and you can adapt out of it a whole lot quicker and see it coming, and then lean again on those things. Like, hey, I'm probably not leaning onto my team as much and not take care of myself as much. So I'm just able to, you know, flush back out of them way quicker than I used to. And I got guardrails set up too, you know, where you got family, you got close friends. I got, you know, David Jackson as a best friend and partner and mentor. So even if I'm not paying attention, someone else is usually, you know, helping me out on that.
It's nice to have the nature of this social media world that we have nowadays is that so many of us get so great at sharing our front of house. You know, we love to share our wins, and even sometimes when we share our losses, it's still sometimes done in a way that really just makes it about me. Like it's really interesting because I watch it done, and I'm often curious to go, I wonder why they shared that there. Mm-hmm. But I think I often try and, you know, when I'm talking with new grads, you know, I like to share with them about my first panic attack. You know, I like to share them about the chronic fatigue that I had. You know, I like to share them about the, you know, 3 years of a numb leg. And these are all, I'm clearly a very slow learner. There's no doubt about it. And that's part of my journey in this life. I like that concept of guardrails. I've not been great with guardrails. I'm the best I've ever been at it now. But I think it's important that we have these conversations and remind our listeners of, you know, the many brilliant people that we have here on, you know, the podcast, and having had the pleasure of spending time with them outside of this world, to realize that there is a back of house as well. And sometimes the back of house is probably the back of the house is the same as your back of house in many cases also. So, you know, to touch on that point before too, I'm interested in this because there will be people that will be listening now too, that will have heard, and even I, you know, my heart kind of warmed a little when you kind of talked about the passion and the enthusiasm, the excitement. If somebody doesn't quite have that now, or if they're telling themselves, yeah, of course that makes sense that you do all that because I wish I just had that. And I'm sure this is not the first time someone's asked you this question. How do people go about finding that? For you, it's kids. For somebody else, it might be, maybe it's not even chiropractic. But, you know, how do we find that, do you reckon?
You know, I think this is kind of it's a little bit of its own perfect storm with how this all plays out nowadays, again, with social media. And I'm not putting a negative face on that at all. There's nothing in life that doesn't have positive and some degrees of side effects and negatives probably, you know, tied into it based upon the user and the perspective and the purpose and everything. But one thing we were just literally, I was trying to help our startup camp within Epic about is, it's very valuable to look to others and watch what maybe makes them happy and energized and successful, because you can kind of get some tips and you can get some modeling and you can get some guidance, but it's also a slippery slope. I think too many people are looking at what makes other people happy and going, well, that should make me happy too. So I'll just go do all of that and give me your formula and give me your script and give me your PDF and give me your everything. And then they go after all of that, because it was happy inducing for the person they got it from. But I don't know that they slow down enough to during and especially after and go, was this my happy? Was this my thing truly, authentically? Because there is so much exposure to everybody else's stuff. I actually think it's clouding our, what's the word here? Our viewpoint and clarity on what is actually our stuff. And the beauty, this kind of ties these two first things together. The beauty of being busy as I am, and I choose that busy. It's not like a busy you hear most, especially Americans, right? Like, oh, people are like, how you doing? Oh, I'm busy, like, what kind of a shit answer is that? I'm busy by choice. But the beauty of busy, my wife and I talk about this all the time, it keeps us out of everybody else's messy stuff.
Yes.
It keeps us from caring about stuff that would, not even caring about it, paying attention to it. So I wonder if a lot of people haven't slowed down enough to say, this is my gig. Even if you've only experienced a little bit of it, that should be enough to kind of get that little inner burn to you. And then you just got to slow down and listen to that, and then develop a plan, then develop a purpose, then develop a business, all around that. And soon enough, you'll be busy from that.
I love that answer. I keep on getting messages of silence to me at the moment, and the power of silence and sitting down and doing nothing. And, you talked about your commute, to and from work. And I'll jump in there. What am I going to listen to now? And I don't do it all the time because I just love to constantly learn. But the ability for me to sit in silence is really something. It's one of the next skill sets that I'm really, really working on for many reasons. And first of all, the reason I wanted to do it was so I could get more productive and do and boom more. But hang on, it's probably not that. It's just silence for silence sake there also. So I really love that. You'll like this story too. When you talked about being busy also, our good friend Tony Rose, he doesn't like saying I'm busy. And I don't know where he got it from, but he heard it from somewhere. So apologies if you listen to this. But Tony's stock answer to that is, I'm in demand and love and life. So
golden.
It's
golden. Great. Well, I was blessed. This is all the way back. It's got to be going on 10 years ago. Another Ebel, who is very Cairo influential, not a DC, but the maker of these T-shirts, right?
Yes.
Brett's Steve, my brother, with Above Down. He's the nomadic gypsy hippie of the family. Okay, right. So this will be good for everybody. He traveled to your home country along with Fiji and other places right out of school. And I remember when he came back and he told me about it. I said, well, what did you learn? And he said, well, I learned that Americans are all just stressed out, wound up a-holes, because when you're here, it's such an accepted answer, almost actually not even accepted. It's almost like honorable to answer.
It's a badge of honor.
Yeah. How busy you are. And that stuck with me way back then. And so even when I'm busy, I don't look at it in that way like, oh, this sucks, I'm busy. Like, man, I'm in demand.
It is. But isn't that interesting in terms of identity stuff, right? So I'm in practice 2 mornings a week, and then the other days I'm now busy with audio stuff, right? But you should see how it gets my back up and how quickly I react if somebody says to me, oh, you're only working 2 mornings a week. Now, instead of being able to be proud of it, right? Dude, it's like you've just asked me to fight. I'm like, man, you want to see who works the more hours around here? Like, if there's ever a pissing contest, I'm like, dude, you should be proud. You should say, hell yeah, like, cool, hey? But I can't. It's so interesting around identity around that. And it's another reflection of my level of self-worth in let's see who works the most hours, man. But I went, I don't want my self-worth around that. Let's choose something else to whack self-worth around. It's interesting. I like hearing that from you, buddy. One of the other things I want to chat with you about today, I've been stalking. I always love watching your stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and you want to talk about authenticity with many of the workshops. What I love watching the stuff when you're talking to other chiropractors, but even more than that, when I can watch you talking to the community, that's, when I'm talking with patients and with people inside of Audio Media Coaching, and I said, look, forget all the structures of the video stuff, because just forget that. just be you, be really authentic and come through. And if you want to see somebody do this beautifully, just watch Tony's videos. Like, just watch them, and don't even listen to, just watch who he's being, and you be that, not be Tony, but just be you. And it's so damn attractive, man. Like there are times I go, oh geez, I wish he was my chiropractor. Like, that's what I feel like. Like, I wish I could bring my kids to like that. It's so lovely. But you've released a new program, or in the early stages of it, the Epic Smart System, which will revolutionize the way that we're able to reach tens of thousands of people there too. Let's get in and talk about that, man, because I'm excited about this.
Yeah, man, to be honest, I don't get nervous often anymore on any of this sort of stuff, but I'm nervous to really share the initial, breakdown of what this thing is, because it truly, you hear those terms all the time of game changer and revolutionizing and these sort of things. And this one is that. This one will earn that title. And so I'm nervous to put it out there, because I think some people will miss it, because it's massive capacity. But hopefully, as we develop layers through it, and there'll be a lot of lessons for the practicing practitioner too, to say, well, gosh, if they developed this software and all of the concepts and components behind it to do this stuff, that stuff must be really important. Right. And so there'll be a lot of that strategy lessons built into it as well. But it's an idea that is actually pretty many years old for us, because what we found, the backstory of it is this, that thing you just got done talking about, it's simple yet difficult for someone, for whatever reason, in front of a mom, in front of a room, and especially in front of a room, and especially in front of a camera, to be themselves. It's why the person always asks for the PowerPoint, and always asks for the structure, and always asks for the script, right? Because that, for some reason, that tangible stuff, they want to do that instead of do the authentic, uncomfortable stuff at first. And everybody who's fought through that uncomfortable part and been cool with it, been cool with being the wild, crazy, raging bull farmer, neuro nerd guy, or whatever they are, anywhere they are, well, then they get to get after that. So we looked at what we were doing with Epic, and we said, look, we've got all of the formulas. We've got all of the content. We've got all of the training, the mindset training to the systems training, the graphics to the copy, the landing pages to everything else. And we can give all this to people, and some will crush it, and some will do average, and some will not do well. Right. And so it's not the creative that's the difference. It's the ease of implementation. So the Epic Smart System is really David's idea. I just get to be a part of the creative and the pusher for it. From Fiji, at least this last iteration to its side of the research, came from Fiji, the Fiji on Fire beach last year. Evidently, some Saving Turtle beers and beverages probably helped induce this, right? From the Kiwi crowd there. But yeah, it will take all of the marketing. So it stands for Systemized Marketing and Retention Technology. And so it is not just a marketing software, not that it would be bad on its own, but it is retention too, because we've really been studying and implementing over the last 12 months a lot of retention strategies, especially from an amazing book by a dude named Joey Coleman on how to never lose a customer again. So translate that to patient. And so what it does, the main thing is all of the proven, tested, working right now workshops, webinars, internal referral campaigns. We do what's called wellness experience events, where once a month we just love on our people. It's not new patient getters. We do all sorts of community. I do a quarterly community collaboration event. So it's our entire successful marketing calendar and system, and referral and retention generating system, all literally at a click of a few buttons for a practicing chiropractor who is in it. We are releasing to our clients first, but all of the creative, all of the ads, all of the emails, all of everything you could think of to put on a successful event, webinar, workshop, or any of those other ones is literally all done for you. And then the software customizes it to that practice.
Yeah.
So with just that, it puts it in play. And so my last thought, I know that's a long intro to it, but it's a time saver. The reason it's not only more effective on it because it's all proven stuff and they can do it or we can do it for them with the webinars. But the reason people run out of steam is what we talked about at the outset. How do you get it all done? And most people don't. They get it all done for 3 months and then they get all burned out, on marketing, or so they stop doing it, or at best they run stale and they just keep doing the same thing, but not as well. They don't keep up with the times and the adaptations. So the big thing we're excited for it is to just really cut the legwork down for our practicing chiropractors, allowing them to do more, love on their patients more, provide the care more, be with their family more, while their marketing engine still, goes to town.
The implementation thing is a kicker. Like I was chatting with my coach last night about, people who do the stuff inside Community Influencer. The results are stunning. Like, we're seeing, in terms of return on investment, put $500 into this process and get 3,000 back. Like that's a money printing machine if you want to look at it from that. But heck, man, it's hard to get people to implement. And so some of that, it's interesting because my first headspace with that is, lazy buggers. It's like, hang on, I need to get better at teaching this because that's really, I'm fascinated now about how can I do that as well. I want to, because underneath this, your system you talked about too, I'm reading a really interesting book at the moment there too. And she makes a point about, in essence, most advertising is about interruption. Like if you really think about it, that's what it's trying to do. We're driving along in our car. There's a big billboard of a gorgeous person there with a thing. And it's interrupting me trying to say, if you get this thing, you'll be like that gorgeous person as well. And we've had so much interruption nowadays that there've been some neat little kind of, neural studies that show just how effective we are at blocking that stuff out. It's the neuromarketing stuff that's coming out now is stunning. The shift in this, instead of trying to interrupt people, if the basis that you jumped off is says, I'm actually going to add value to people. And not only that, I came up, I'm so fascinated about this idea, and it's so simple because very few people are actually looking for a chiropractor, and even less people are looking for a chiropractor for their kids. But what I damn well know is that there are tens of thousands and millions of people around the world that are looking for strategies to raise a drug-free, healthy family. But gang, listen, stop talking about chiropractic, start solving those people's problems. Like I get tingles, and because that's it. By you merely putting an ad on Facebook that says 45% off, get a free pillow when you come in, that's about chiropractic. Instead of that, run a workshop, get on their live, even if it's 2 minutes, solve their problems. Like how can you get them one step closer to the health outcome they're looking for? And I think that's what you've worked out how to do through a system here that then has the backup, the follow-up, because it's a customer journey. Even if somebody watches that once, some people will go, yeah, that's for me. But I'm guessing at best it's 5% when it's an online. So therefore we assume the other 95% don't want it. Damn wrong. They're just distracted at the moment. If you can follow up, if you can nurture, if you can care, then, that's what then turns those other 95%, 80% of them end up trickling in the door over the next, 7-8 months from there also. So
yeah.
Yeah, I can't, that concept itself there too is just a game changer. I know it's very, very simple, but I think the power of it is its simplicity in terms of what's the marketing strategy.
Let's run with it, and don't even worry about whether it's the smart system. Just practicing, practitioner, chiropractors, everybody. Just listen to the potential of the shift, right? As we go into this, and we can leverage technology and these things in the market that is, and with the current reality. And I'll finish my little run. I'm going to go on here with a very personal story that just hit me like a ton of freaking, rocks in our team meeting a couple of weeks ago. But what we're getting at here is that people always want to have, I feel like we maybe chatted about this a little bit last time. Everybody, especially it seems like in chiropractic, is obsessed with the or. Like I could do it this way or that way. I could have a waiting list practice from internal referrals, or a practice with tons of new patients from the outside. And I'm like, why do we love the or when we could have the and, right? So in this game of marketing your practice, it is quality of your message, so effectiveness of the creative and the copy and the message, and quantity. What that research really is proving out recently, especially over the last couple of years, is because there has been so many interruptions and marketers are everywhere, and there's more of them doing the same thing than ever before. Yes, human brains are adapting to where it's not 7 or 8 times they need to hear and see your message. It's 70 or 80 times. And that deflates the practicing chiropractor right there. Because you already didn't like marketing when you had to get 7 messages out. Now you want to, just burn it to the ground when somebody tells you it's going to take 70 times, right? Metaphorically. And so that is where you flip that on its head and you go, unless technology and team could help me get it done. And see, that's what I've invested in, and that's what we're doing with Epic. We've invested in technology, and we've invested in team. So tech and other people, many of which who use tech themselves, to help me get that message out more. So it is quality, which I'll get to that in a second. We'll break that one down. Epic Smart System is going to have quality built into it, but I'm most excited about the quantity of output a practitioner will be able to put out there, because so much of it is automated. And, I know you like this guy too, but Gary Vee is exactly right. 50, 70, 80, 100 pieces of content per day. If you want to gather that attention and be that interrupter, well, you got to just play the numbers game, right? So our technology is going to do that. But the quality. So docs, if you're note taking, this is going to be the stuff. This is what I figured out is the 2 most common mistakes chiropractors make in their message. And if you do it with pediatric chiropractic, you're doubly toast, because mom's radar, their filter is I'm terrible with this sort of mechanic stuff. There's less that gets through their filter, and there's more empathy and authority, right? Some Donald Miller story brand stuff. You have to double the empathy, double the authority to get the trust of a mom, and I'm probably light on that word double, to bring her family into you. And you also have to be triple in clarity and conciseness and really strength of that brand. And what chiropractors do in most of their messaging is, you're exactly right. They make it all about chiropractic and themselves. That's what sparked me to take off on this run. And then we're going to go one step further to the 2 mistakes. When you're talking about chiropractic, first off, you shouldn't be, right? Your marketing shouldn't be about chiropractic. It should be about them, their problem, yes, but really 7 layers deep into their problem, how much it's disrupting their life massively. And you would only know that if you listened to them. That's what we covered on our previous ones on this. And then what it is when chiropractors are talking about chiropractic and health, they're typically doing 2 things. Predominantly, like 90% of the messages. You're either bashing everyone else who isn't you. You're throwing hate and shade at the pediatrician and the medical doctors and drugs and big pharma and vaccines. Woo, yeah, we want to really win some friends. Make a post about vaccines, politics, and religion all in the same day. You'll get engagement, but not the engagement you want, right?
Yeah.
So you're bashing everybody else. And then the second thing chiropractors do is they talk about chiropractic and if you've never heard an interview from me, I'm just being real here, in the weirdest freaking way ever. Do you know how weird words like innate potential and your child's expressive unlimited universal intelligence is?
Yes.
And a picture of a baby being held in a baby sling that no one's ever seen, with chickens walking around in the background and, spontaneous universe, stars everywhere. I'm just thinking of imagery that is all over chiropractic channels. And so if you're bashing everybody, you're a turn off. And if you're weird, you're a turn off. Okay. You're not getting the slow of the scroll. If you get a click, it's simply to block and unfollow, right? When you're doing those 2 things. If you watch our message, it's 90% plus about them. Yeah. Let me talk about the things you are going through. Let me talk about them in a way that is your language, that makes sense to you, that is meaningful to you, that is, your word is exactly right, Angus, value building to you. I know this, and maybe this is as simple as these docs and everybody needs to hear it. Every video can help someone. The video itself can help someone. The post itself can help someone because they need to have their hope back. They need to have potential before they can even take action. So that's why we've just built this whole system to it. So we know, so in it, we've written the messages to be effective because they are not about chiropractic. They are about the people and the parents and the families we need to help. And because we've used the power of automation and technology, here's my last story. We were sitting in our marketing meeting a couple of weeks ago. Smart had already been released to our tribe at our impact event in October. So I knew all about what it was supposed to do. And then I was like, oh, snap. That's what this is going to do. Because in my marketing meeting every Monday, or my team meeting, we were in the marketing section. So we go through wins first, then we check in with our stats. Where are we at? Then we look ahead. Where are we going marketing wise to go, serve some more people? And an entire page of our agenda had listed, we had 5 events in the next 30 days. And so I looked at that sheet, and each of those events then has landing pages that need to be built, and emails that need to be sent, and Facebook Lives that need to promote it, and testimonials that need to feed it, and emails that need to follow it up and confirm their registration and get them to show. And then those that don't show, there's got to be emails that follow up. It's 100 episodes of podcast notes, right, into each event. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, and then I looked around my room, and I have 14 people that work for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've built that up over this time so I could get done what I wanted to get done. And I just had a real come to Jesus moment where I was like, how many people have, one, the drive that I do? And how many people have have built the system where these emails and these things go? And most importantly, not everybody has all these people, and that didn't even include my Facebook ad nerd who sits behind a computer screen in California, right? And wasn't there, in person. So call it 15 people. And so, gosh, I'm sorry for that long tangent and run, but that is what you need to develop. Whether it's the smart system we have that we'll release to everybody soon enough. Our clients are going to use it for a couple of months first. So you got to get into Epic to get into it. But, that's what you got to develop, is the way to get that message done with the right quality and effectiveness. Story brand is my favorite framework. Mm. And then you got to leverage technology and team to get it out enough times to get to where you want to go.
Tone, can you, when you talked about one of the mistakes that we make is that we talk all about us, we talk all about chiropractic. You touched on this idea of empathy and authority there too. Can you share with the listeners a little bit about the difference of positioning yourself as the guide versus positioning yourself as the hero? Can you share that a little?
Yeah, because like you, right? I used to think that's what I was supposed to do with my website and my videos and go, I don't know if you've noticed all of these initials behind my name, but they're certified in this and I'm certified in that. And moms, I've been certified as a pediatric chiropractor for 13 years. I've maybe had 3. I'm not shitting one bit. 3 moms care at all that I was certified, legit, right? And out of a high volume of them. So yes, the empathy is another E word. It's emotion. So people are first going to begin their buy-in process, especially moms, who is the market we go to. That's who we're matching our message to, right? If I look at my analytics, it's awesome. It's like 85% females between the age of 25 to 45, Yep. If there's any dudes in there, it's just 45 and plus aged other chiropractors watching my page.
Yes, it's that. That's me. I'm one of those guys. Okay.
It's just Tony and Angus.
These 2 guys in Australia. How are they getting in this? How are they in this custom audience?
You're screwing up all of my dynamics. I don't want any patients from Australia. Come on.
And these dudes never convert. They never come to my workshops. Yeah.
Kill rates are shit. I mean, it's just, I literally do. I have a 10% what I call chiro fudge factor into all of my analytics for my team because so many chiropractors registered for our events to see our stuff. They're not coming. You live in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, but, love it. Fabulous.
So it is. The first thing, the reason we use storytelling, stories, testimonials. I thought your last interview there with Daniel was really good about how to get around if you can't do testimonials, which is Australia, New Zealand, and now Canada, really, especially with pediatrics, right? To provide value in a different way. But that's just one piece of the engine. It's a great piece of the pie, but if you don't have it, you just double down on the other portions, right? And so we build empathy first by having that conversation of what we know they're struggling with. And what I'll give you some real secret sauce on this episode. What moms and dads of sick and stressed kids are struggling with in today's world, more than they ever have been before, is not just the struggles themselves. It's not the child's issues. It's the issue that they feel emotionally themselves, that they've done all of these different things. See, the world's wild right now. They've not only exhausted all the medical options, but they've gone gluten-free, casein-free. They've got all sorts of other different therapists. They've detoxified. They're on a massive double combo of Young Living and doTERRA and CBD. You know, they've done it all, and yet their child remains sick and their child remains struggling. So here's the empathetic, emotional conversation thread you got to work in. You've got to speak to that. You got to speak to the parent and their emotions at the same time as speaking to the child and their struggles. And when you do that, and now you portray to them on video number one that you care more about that child and even them as that parent and the struggles they're going through than you care about you and talking about disaffrontation and dysautonomia and that stuff. Let that stuff come later to build your authority. So the flow is we enter the conversation about them and their troubles. And the reason I know to go really deep into those real life disturbances is because I'm in real life with these families. Listen. So if I just did this the other day. I did 2 or 3 day ones in a row where moms had this trending topic, right? They were really frustrated that all these other practitioners were telling them that their children continued to have these low tone and motor tone issues with their core, with their lower extremities. That's a very common thing in my perfect storm specialty, right? With that. And yet they've been doing therapy for years, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours a week, paying at least the deductible and the copays, and yet not getting anywhere. So that was an internal message I started to pick up on. So what I did is I went upstream, turned on a video, did a Facebook Live all about that. Because I know if those 3 moms are concerned with it, so are 300 more in my community, right? And so then you get into the science and you start to explain that component of it. And now you get the authority that says, hey, since we understand what you're going through and our science is starting to show you that we would be a really helpful guide and resource to do something about it, just come in here and find out how we can become a partnership and guide you through that process. So our accolades, the diplomas are in the back, they're just to remind us, that we should pay our student, loans every month, right? I don't even know why we hung them up back there, honestly, right? Nobody gives a shit about what you've been through and what you do is, I guess, what I'm saying. I love empathy and the authority.
It's where it's at. If there's a superpower as a practitioner, and certainly there's a superpower as a marketer, it's empathy. I talk a lot about this concept of know, like, and trust. And people think, because the like, sometimes I don't do as good a job as explaining this, because when we think about know, like, and trust, I think that word like is that I want you to like me. But there's actually 2 sides of that, because what that like is, when I'm communicating with you, Tony, is I want you to know that I know what it's like to be like you. Wow. And that's what that like is. It's 2 sides. Yes, be a nice guy. Don't be a douchebag. Okay, that's important there. But when, if you start up a video and you just say, hey, listen, we're going to talk all about ear infections today. And you know what I know about people and kids with ear infections is not only the frustration of having a child with this too, but what it feels like to have gone through practitioner after practitioner after trying this. I'm betting as you listen to this now is that you're probably gluten-free, casein-free, all those things before. And I'm sitting there going, he knows what it's like to be me. Like that's it. I can't hear anything else until if you jump straight in there and you tell me that I'm the savior, I help kids with ear infections, all those kind of things there too. I just can't hear it yet. One, because you're positioning yourself as the hero. I wake up each day hoping I can be the hero in my life. I've only got room for one hero, and you're going to compete with me about it. If I have to make someone wrong, I'm going to make you wrong before me wrong. It's the other reason too, when you talked about kind of bashing medicine, like ask the next audience that you're talking to, gang, sit down with everybody and say, raise your hand if you either yourself personally or you have a loved one whose life has been saved by medicine. I promise you, 9 out of 10 people raise their hand. Now, whether it's actually being done or not, it's not important, okay? But that's the perception of the people. And so if they know that in their own minds, and then you're going to then go and tell them about how terrible medicine is, there's going to be this decision they have to make in their mind. Either I'm wrong or this wacky guy or gal in front of me is wrong. And again, if I've got the choice of that, I'm not going to make me wrong. So we just don't need to go there. We don't need to make them the bad guy to make you the good guy or gal there too. So, there's so much there. Tony's talked about empathy. Just, next time that you're going to write a post, instead of like paragraph number 1 in there, is just describe what life is like for the person. Just do that. Okay, next time you start a video, start with that. Next time you're going to write a little PDF report, paragraph number 1 is describe what life is like for that person. And you can even start like this: I know what life is like for you. Then describe it. Like that would be the most basic way to go about it. And then watch the results that you get and then get into teaching your stuff. It'll make all the difference in the world.
It will. And everybody is so excited. And I get it. You love chiropractic. So do I. So does Angus. You get so excited to talk about it, you forget to talk about them first. And you need to talk about them first. And then you need to talk about them a lot. And then a lot more. And then you get to put a bow on it with the chiropractic piece of it and what you can do and why you are to be trusted in it. But you're exactly right. Oh my gosh, that flip on using like in 2 ways. Yes, you're personable. Yes, you're honest. Yes, you're authentic. That's going to get them to like you emotionally. But you nailed it, man, to slow down and to communicate. I know what it's like for you. And I want to just add an asterisk to that. That doesn't mean you needed to go through it to be relatable to them. Not at all. I get that. I get that. I don't want to call it crap because I'm empathetic to people who come up to me with that. My little miracle man, Oliver, right? He's a medical miracle man and a chiro miracle man. So I was blessed to see both. It's why it's an extra reason why my perspective is clear. But it was clear before that, which is why I was able to help him get out of it, right? You don't need to go through it. Those moms don't want you to have lived their life. But they do want you to understand it, to be empathetic to it. And my second asterisk is there is a difference between empathy and sympathy. Your job is to not just sit there and let them cry on your shoulder and not do a damn thing about it. Empathy immediately goes into authority and says, the reason I'm so interested to have this conversation with you and the reason I care enough to understand what life is like for you with all this is because I can do something about it. Mm-hmm. I can work with you to get you out of it. And that is the incredible shift that I think people really, really, really need to make in that communication process, because the empathy is the exciting part. And you're just not going to get there when you're talking about yourself all the time. You're going to get that, I call it NAS syndrome, narcissistic a-hole syndrome brand, right? And a lot of chiropractors excel at that. But being a hero, being a narcissist, being a basher, being a weirdo, and slinging free pillows is not going to put pediatric chiropractic on the map. Okay, it's just not the way to the end game that we're going for.
Yeah, well, the natural conclusion of positioning yourself as the guide is that you're actually going to show people what to do next. Like that's what comes from. We have to do that. And we have to do that in a bold and confident way also. It's not about withdrawing back, into yourself. This is in many ways, there's so many, analogies that kind of link this in with a bit like a dating. I often chuckle that I talk a lot about dating.
Yes.
I'm the worst. Like I've been so lucky, the moment that I decided that after, separating from my first wife, I think I went on 2 dates and then the universe delivered me my beautiful Lauren. Yep. So the irony of me talking about that, but I'm guessing this, confidence is everything. Okay, there needs to be a confidence there as you're reaching out to people that says, because if you're not, particularly as a parent, if I'm on this journey and I'm listening to you And then the time comes that you're inviting me into a practice. I'm watching you. Like, I'm watching you. I'm going, are you for real? Like, what's your level of certainty and confidence with this too? You waver on that and you think you're going to get your hands on my kids? Like, nah, not going to happen. So there needs to be that level of, and there's a big difference, as you mentioned before, you know, with Anna, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. You know, we definitely don't want arrogance, but there is allowed to be a level of confidence that says, bring your child to me. You know,
and the finishing touch on the emotional connection, you know, and this is frameworked out on the story brand too, is when you've understood, when you've spoken to the problem with empathy and authority and gotten into that layer of deep, then as you look forward, now you continue that communication. And that's what it's about, getting them into the practice to get started. Now you flip that emotion. And I always tell my attendees at the Perfect Storm workshop, you know, I kind of joke that I should hand out tissues, 2 tissues, 1 for each eye. One is going to be crying tears of, man, I wish I'd have known this before. So, you know, we all hear this in chiropractic. I wish somebody had told me before. Why didn't I hear this earlier? But the second tissue and the second tear should be tears of joy and exhilaration and excitement and energy, because now we've looked ahead and we've said, well, gosh, if he or she, so us in that picture, if they understand it that much and that science makes that much sense and I can do that much about it, then before you even have to depict it for them, but go ahead and do that. Then when you depict it for them, so once we get this out of the way, then this can take the place, your child's potential and your child's, you know, results in this way. Now they have this unbridled, unbelievable excitement to get started. I know it sounds like the guy getting interviewed on a podcast speak or the guy on a stage speak, but every day people prepay us $4,000 for one child's care plan excitedly. Not remorsefully, not like where they're gripping onto the card and we have to like yank it out of it. They're like slinging. They're like, shut up. Stop talking about the scans. I don't even care. Like, just, you know, just tell me where to sign and where to get started, because we've done everything we're talking about to the front end. And then we've turned that corner here where we said, here's where we're going together. And here's what you can expect to see for your child's life. So now the emotional flip has happened where you've got the emotional buy-in on the problem. Okay. And that's why I wanted to tell this last bit of the story. Kairos, once we're done being we're either too hardline and bash, and we're either too weird. And sometimes in the too weird zone, we're also a little too nice. See, it's to be known, catch attention, liked, I love your 2 flips on it, and then trusted. And to be trusted, you need to tell the truth. And I really owe my full dose of truth-telling ability to my mentor, Dr. David Jackson, because that's, especially when you have a child's life on your hands. And actually, before that child's life gets in your hands, docs, you need to understand this equation. It's in your words. I know that may sound funny, but understand that. That child's life hangs in the balance of your words and your actions in that way before they're going to get on the table and get in your hands. One begets the other. So why is it worth listening to every damn episode on here? Why is it worth reading these books? Why is it worth training with a group like Epic? Why is it worth going into the community influencer program to work on this communication? Because it starts there to get the child face down on the table in your hands to get their life back. It's just the chronological order. And you have to get comfortable speaking to the problem in depth. You can't gloss over it. You cannot skip that part of the framework and just go to their potential. Just go to the Kairos story. You can't just tell the story. You need to tell their story again and again and again and again. And then once they trust you, then you get to tell the chiropractic story and how it can make their life better.
Dude, it's so damn powerful. It's stunning. And I know we've only just kind of touched on the Epic Smart System. I think our listeners are going to be engaged, that they're going to want to find out more. You mentioned at the moment that this is something that you're only sharing with your Epic group at this stage. So what I'm suggesting our listeners do, the best thing is just join the Epic group now, and then you can fast track your way into the Epic Smart System too.
And
how do people? Where do people?
Research element? Yeah, I left that out because it's just such a behemoth of potential. So the reason we have just 10x our excitement on this thing is every single new patient that this will generate from someone using it, every part of that new patient exam, whether it's on a webinar and they'll be redeeming it online and just paying directly online, booking the appointment, it's all automated. Or whether it's like, I'm still an old school meets new school guy. I use new school social media to drive traffic, get your butt in seat. I'm doing the talk in person. It's just my jam, right? And there, when they sign up and they pay for their exam there, we are, and our clients are committed, every single new patient that comes, we're going to recommend at least a $47 donation to what's called the National Family Wellness Alliance, which is our nonprofit. Then we have partnered with the New Zealand Chiropractic College and their research department, Dr. Heidi Horvick, Dr. Kelly Holt, Dr. Phil, Dr. Ash, all of the homies you know so well. And we're partnered with NZCC and their research department. We gave them a $100,000 check. Heidi, she swears a lot. She swore at record rate, whilst crying when we handed her that amount of money, because they raised all year last year, they raised $80,000. In one moment, we gave them $100,000 from our Epic Pediatric offices, just piloting this thing. And now what we know is that even if each of our clients generates just 10 new patients a month, we will raise over $1 million next year for pediatric chiropractic research. And all of it is going to research and education in partnership with this. So are we excited for the individual practitioner to get more new patients, better new patients, less time, less effort, all that stuff we talked about? Yeah, but the biggest excitement is the grand plan of really putting pediatric chiropractic first, because you don't need to have me tell you, since you practice in Australia, buddy, you know how much of a challenge we face in that world right now. And it's true. They're painting a lot of straw man arguments against us in Australia and Canada and everywhere else, but there's some truth to the fact that we should stack up a lot more papers.
We need more research. You know, our research is really clear that we're safe. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? We have to be mature enough to say when it comes to effectiveness, we need more. You know, we've got a bunch of case studies and some case series and stuff like that too. And $1 million is stunning and will be a great beginning tidal wave heading in the right direction there too. So, buddy, I've got two things that I want to finish up with here too. First is this. If people want to reach out, find more about you, Epic system, where's the best platform? Where should they go to kind of find out more?
Truthfully, the newest, best platform, and this we should, fourth episode, talk about Facebook groups one time. Actually, search on Facebook for the group called Pediatric Chiropractic Today. We're about to launch over 2,000 members in just a couple of months' time. That will be a free, easy exposure to the way we roll. This is kind of your first time hearing about us. It's our first date, and you're not sure you want to marry me and David yet. Totally understand. All right. He's a tall surfer dude with great hair. I'm a short, chunky farmer with no hair. So you choose wisely there. But you can date us for free on Pediatric Chiropractic Today. If you really want to ratchet it up and learn more about it, go to myepicpractice.com. So www.myepicpractice.com, and you can learn about our different offerings there. The coolest little appetizer we have is a program. It's just a $300 program all about pediatric chiropractic communication called Pediatric Communication Essentials. Love that. We just launched that one here in the last month too, and people are digging that. Yeah, beautiful. I'll make sure I have those notes in the show notes. I'll have those links in the show notes too. Last thing I want to finish up with, buddy. Question here. What was the last thing that you believed was true that you found out wasn't? That I could continue to do things all on my own and, and get through to where I really want to get. And it was really, I had to run into the wall and put a big old, dent in it and a dent in my forehead many, many, many times before I realized, you know what? If I get a couple of my mates, as we would call them, right? And ran at the wall together, maybe we'll get through it, right? So building a team, building a community, building a tribe is what ended up being true, instead of relying on, dear old just me. Yeah, buddy, what a beautiful thing to let go of. Man, from the bottom of my heart, and I want to see if I can do this from thousands of miles away,
I want to let you know that I love you, and I love you for all that you continue to do. BJ saying, if I love you because you love the things that I love is, couldn't be more true here. Thank you for all those times that you've banged your head against the wall. Thank you for this constant creativity that comes through you and from your ability of being prepared to fail so we don't have to as well. I want to really honor you and your family for all the effort that you put forward. So thank you so much for this being our 3rd episode on the Marketing Practice Podcast. Thank you for sharing this 100th episode with me as well. I can't wait to get back for round 4 as well. So, buddy, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I adore you. See you soon.
Thank you, brother.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at addiomedia.com/join. That's addiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.